Hello and welcome back. I'm covering a topic that you will not see here often, but for the next couple of weeks, once a week, I will be doing a video based on this documentary called Be Myself. If anyone has been following Zhao Lusi, is a fan of hers like I am, and has seen everything that's happened with her health and her mental health and all that's come out, when I stumbled upon this documentary, even though this is not something I normally would watch unless the subject matter is super interesting or super important to me, I knew that I had to watch this, and I'm very, very glad that I did. And I just want to put out there, because I've seen some pretty hateful posts and hateful videos about Zhao Lusi and her doing this documentary. I just want to say personally, and for me and in general, that I find it kind of disgusting that people are being hateful, that they can't see how brave and how much courage it really takes to kind of put yourself out there. You're talking about a woman that internalized her own mental health and her own stresses and problems and the things that she felt so much that it quite literally affected her health in a dramatic way. So for her to not only own up to this, she definitely has this problem, but to own up to it in front of people in a way like this in this documentary through these episodes, I feel is amazing and amazingly brave. And not only is it going to be, I think, good and uplifting and for her and her journey, but also for people like me and other people who also suffer from a lot of hidden illnesses, extreme anxiety, things that you internalize that you might not ever even tell someone else. I feel like she is a voice for those of us that can relate to the problems that she's also had and sharing with us. Now that I got that out of the way, let's jump right into the documentary. But I would like to say really quick that the editing team and the people that shot these videos, the pictures that were taken, all of it was so beautifully done. The sounds, the quotes, the way that it was portrayed felt very intimate, very mellow, very relaxing. And I thought that it was just a gorgeously produced episode. And we open up with Zhao Lusi talking about how when she was sick, that some of the three key words she felt in her life was courage, faith, and work. But how she also felt that she had been cowardly about by feeling guilty, by having regrets. I'm guessing that kind of boiled down to being too cowardly to actually admit that she was having these mental issues and these problems, and that maybe even she didn't have the right people, or she felt like she shouldn't be allowed to talk about these problems. It seems like later on in the episode, she talks about how that within her family, they weren't really that close, and they were very independently minded, telling her basically that, or making her feel that basically because she was so blessed in that she was this top actress, that all these things were, I mean, she was a very blessed person, that then she didn't have a right to feel bad, or that, that she kind of had to hold that in, because when it boiled down to it, she still had it good. And that's just, when I think about it from an outside perspective, I can see that they didn't mean to do things or to say things that would give her more stress. But when you have a mental problem like anxiety and things that you tend to internalize, that can be pretty devastating, because then you hold it in even more, and you feel like you can't express yourself, and things usually come to a boiling point, which is what we have seen happen with her, and what happens to a lot of people. It happens to me, so I can 100% relate, which is why I really wanted to talk about this documentary. So she talks about these things, about regret and never having the courage to have even gone on a trip that was just a trip to for a trip's sake, to go and see things and do things and be. Instead, her trips were mostly for work or because someone else planned, telling her what to do, where to go, and etc. So she wanted to be courageous and go on a trip where she just could do something outside of the norm, outside of her safety net, and just have a good time. And so she chose this little actor, I think he's 12 years old, that had played with her in previous shows, and I believe played with her in Love's Ambition, if I'm not mistaken. I think Fu Bo Han. And she goes and picks him up to take him with her. And later on, you see them driving in the vehicle on the way to this very remote place where she's wanting to visit because it's so outside of her normal place. You know, it's remote, it's unfamiliar to her. She doesn't have a real plan in place. It's at a high altitude, so it's, you know, it's kind of a scary thing, and that's why she's doing it, to get outside of her normal things and to find that little bit of courage within to, like, you know, break out of the barriers that she's put herself within. And she, I feel like she took this little kid with her because, and you can see it in one of the in this when they're traveling, that she knows that having this little brother type of figure with her, this kid that she really gets along with and that they can be friendly with, and have this older sister, younger brother, you know, feel to their relationship that he'll be super excited and enthusiastic and joyful. And when he did that, that she could probably, it'd be kind of like contagious, you know, his joy and enthusiasm would spill over to her. And if she wasn't, you know, because of medication or because of anxiety or whatever, if she wasn't really feeling it or not realizing that she wasn't letting her feelings come to the surface, that his feelings bubbling over for this, you know, this childlike feelings would bubble over to her and allow her to feel what she wanted to feel within this trip. And I felt like that was super also telling and enlightening about her journey and where she's at, to where she feels like, you know, even some of the things that she gets numb to or doesn't even understand herself, that she puts her, that in this trip and in this documentary in episode 1, she partners herself with this kid who she knows for a fact will, like, bring out the joy and things that sometimes can be hidden with hidden illnesses and hidden with medications that we're taking for helping with that. And I thought that was really kind of a beautiful thing. And I know that in one part he says something like, you said back in, I think 2022, he says, or something, that you don't like traveling, or he might have even said, you hate traveling. And she said immediately, I hate things that I can't do. And if the translations and things are correct, that makes me think that it's not that she hated traveling, it's that she hated knowing that she couldn't travel for pleasure because of scheduling being so tight and all these things that she had to do, that when she was traveling, it was more because at 8 a.m. she had to be here, on Tuesday she had to be here, on Saturday she had to check in here. And it wasn't for traveling because she just wanted to enjoy her life. And I felt like that was something that, you know, was super, super interesting to see in this episode. And you also saw before that she was talking about these kids that she saw and how she thought they were so cool and awesome for basically just like walking on the edge of a little bit of a danger zone in this place where she's going to go visit. And like just them being was like more living more dangerously than she'd ever would have allowed herself to do, because, you know, she didn't give herself any room to make mistakes or do something that could land her in a little bit of trouble. And I just see like this Zhao Lusi looking at these 10, 12, 13-year olds, and she's 26, and saying that she never let herself have those feelings. And I feel like you're seeing immediately within this documentary that she has some things that she really, really suppressed that led to her, ultimately, to her not feeling well. Yeah. And, it goes on, and they get this trip, and they're halfway up the mountain, or this remote place that they're going to, and they stop in one spot. And she's like, we look so stupid. We look, so stupid just standing here. And you can see that by the way that she's saying it, that she probably has thought this previously, but I feel stupid just standing here trying to take pictures at this destination point or whatever. And the little boy says to her, well, doesn't everyone look stupid when they're at a touristy destination trying to, get these pictures so that they can document their time out? And she's like, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. So it's another like little look into her mentality, that she's even like, oh, there's nobody around them, but she's worrying that she looks stupid or is spending time in the wrong place by just stopping at a small destination to take a picture or to see a spot that everyone else has seen. And I found that, another layer on top of seeing where she is on this little journey and this mentality. When she gets up to where she's at with these kids and this young girl, and she's having, they're looking around this remote village, and you can see that she's kind of starting to already relax a bit and just enjoy this unique adventure that she's going on. There's one point where it seems like the little girls and the boys' parents are like, the dad's like, you look tired. You should be really tired, right? And she's like, I'm not. That at some point she would sleep 8 hours, and it depended on her schedule. But right before she got really sick, there was a point where she was pretty much going on 2 hours of sleep every single day, and that just was the norm for her. And this one elder little boy, which I don't remember his name, but he seems like a little like old soul, because when she said that, he looked so serious, and he was like, that's very dangerous. And she's like, yeah, now she can see that 2 hours of sleep in a day were extremely dangerous, because it was one of those things that her body just couldn't keep up, and it led to her illness. And then she says she didn't, at that time before she got sick, she just really, really didn't think it was a problem. And the same little boy looks up and he says that's basically having no reverence for life. And there's like this pause and a beat where she's like, yeah, you're right. It's exactly, I wasn't having any respect for the life that I'd been given, and that is what leads to overdoing it, over pushing yourself. And I found it really interesting when they were talking about altitude sickness, how that the little boy, that she wasn't feeling bad because she had taken medication going up this mountain, up this high altitude spot. And she said that she didn't realize that she hadn't been feeling comfortable because until the little boy that was riding with her said, I'm not feeling really well, and I'm feeling a little off and a little dizzy and breathless or whatever. And now it kind of dawned on her that her anxiety and her illness within was kind of like having altitude sickness, except it was all the time. She would feel that feeling when people started feeling uncomfortable, except she would never say that she felt uncomfortable because it was a norm to her. Her body felt that way, and she just pushed through it, pretended like it wasn't there until it was an issue. Then we have a scene while she's there, and don't get me wrong, you really need to watch this because it's shot really beautiful, and you see this family taking care of her and really listening to her. And when these kids have like these things to say that most adults wouldn't say, and even like, people online giving her a hard time about this, but these kids are like, yeah, you really messed up, and your body's not going to put up with that, and you should, have a rest and just take it easy. And I found, I don't know, I just found this little boy so brilliant. Like, almost this family was there for her at this point in time because she needed it so bad. Like, God kind of put them on her journey for this. And it was really a beautiful interaction. The entire hour plus of this documentary was beautifully shot. That night, they help her put together a tent that she can sleep in because she gets anxiety about in case she needs to have what she said, that in case she has to have like a treatment, and I'm not sure what that entails, but whatever it is, she feels more secure if she can do it within a tent within her room instead of just out in the open. And they didn't even blink. They all put a tent together for her. And I thought that was amazing. The next morning and the next day, there was this little section where they're talking about, oh, it seems much brighter. The sun seems happier out. This is Zhao Lusi talking about it. And the little girl that's with her was like, yeah, it's shining, especially for you today. And I just thought that was like one of the most innocent and beautiful things that a little kid could say to someone. I mean, she didn't say it like she was trying to be something special to her. It was just an innocent and beautiful expression of making someone else happy. And I just felt like that was like one of those things that kind of really made this documentary special, where these little pieces, I think what the real reason, if we break it down, this documentary is special because the people in it were just beautiful human beings. Zhao Lusi and this little girl have this whole conversation about makeup, and Zhao Lusi is like so real and tells her, you don't need a lot of makeup. You've got like big, beautiful eyes and eyebrows and these other things. And it's just like this innocent, cute little moment of them going through her makeup box and before they go traipsing up into the village. And they go for a walk. At this point, the little boy that came with her is off with the boys doing boy things up in this mountain or whatever. But Zhao Lusi and the little girl go their own way, and they come across this little grandpa in the village, and he's doing some special work here. And they take pictures and talk, and then they decide to go to his spot where he makes these artisan art crafts, and I think it's more like little metal workings and leather and textile type work. And Zhao Lusi kind of clicks with these people right away, sits down to a old-fashioned looking sewing machine and says that she actually went to college for fashion design but hasn't been behind a sewing machine in a long time. And they talk about fabrics and how amazing, and she just like is completely in love with these shoes that he makes and these other things. So she puts an order in for shoes, and they do some traditional dance that's I'm guessing known in that region, with these little girls and the granddaughter, this lady that's the granddaughter of the grandpa that's there, gives her one of her traditional dresses, and they chat, and the whole entire thing is just this beautiful interaction, right? And then one of the main things during that whole entire part that stuck out to me was the part where the grandpa's making things, and she's taking a picture, and she shows him the picture of himself that she took, and he's like, oh, that's great, but my hands were really dirty, and that messes up the picture, or something to that effect. And she's like, Zhao Lusi just like immediately is like, oh, no, 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 your dirty hands, your calluses, those are all like a medal or a badge of honor that shows all your hard work and your skills, and you should be proud of it because that's amazing. And I, like, to my core, I felt how wonderful of a person Zhao Lusi is, how these people were. I mean, it was like this really beautiful interaction where you almost felt like you were a part of the documentary yourself. Later on, one of the people that are taking the videos asked Zhao Lusi if she realized that the grandpa had kind of like shielded her from the sun while she was doing a little bit of the work there with the leather. And she said, no, she didn't. And she broke down in tears a little bit, remembering her grandpa and how that he probably would have done that for her. And it was just a really touching and beautiful, beautiful moment. Later on, when they're all back into this family's home, laughing and chatting, and the little boy's burning his tongue on these hot, it seems like it might have been a dessert or something that the mom made for everybody. And the joy and the happiness on Zhao Lucy's face is pretty much everything. But even that night, she's chatting with the little boy actor that went with her and talking about happiness and the things that would, different things like using a cane to lean on and different stuff like that. And she gives him a little haircut, and they're just laughing and having a nice little conversation about how one of the reasons why she's not going to be doing any dramas right now is because even though she feels better, a little bit happier with the medication that she's taking, that it hurts her when it comes to memorizing things. So, and he's like, immediately, he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't memorize them. Take a break. You need to rest anyway. And that like little brother attitude was just an amazing, amazing thing. Past that, ends up cutting his hair just like a big sister would, and they're laughing, and she's kind of poking fun at him going into the night at the end of the drama. But at the end of the day, the drama just had this beautiful, like strangers becoming family feeling, and it was very healing and lethargic. And I just found it like one of those things that I would just watch just to feel my mood lift. There were some amazing quotes on there, and I didn't go into real detail about how she talked about some of the things about her family and some other things, but I think I touched on the things that really spoke to me while watching this drama. But there are some beautiful quotes throughout the entire episode that I encourage you to watch yourself. But I'm going to add a couple of the quotes here at the end of the video. So I hope you'll enjoy those. And I will be back. Episode 2 is dropping tonight. And sometime this week, I'll do another video on episode 2. But tell me if you've watched episode 1 of Be Happy, or Be Myself, I'm sorry. And I'd love to know what you think about it. And yeah, we'll do this again soon.